So this is the second time I've recorded this. First time I was just rambling, and I'm probably gonna do it again. But I went to go see the Minecraft movie. Yes, I'm way behind that whole entire thing, but I finally was able to get some free time that let me go see this movie. So I had a title previously kind of picked out, somewhere along the lines of the best of the best of the best of what's left, implying that this movie saw success because it was like the only thing out there in comparison to what was showing. And I stand by this, but after seeing it, it's far worse than that. And I know some people may not like it when they wish movies would fail. This movie, I wish it did because it succeeded for all the wrong reasons. Being like the only thing out there at the time that people were even remotely willing to watch in comparison to what was out there. And then you had the teenagers that wanted to make TikTok videos and memes over a meme reference in a movie, but whatever. So I saw this in a theater all by my little lonesome self. There were two other people initially, and these people were so dumb they couldn't even get into the right theater for the movie they wanted to go see, even though they're clearly labeled on the tickets. And they asked me, "Did you actually come to see Minecraft?" They're like, "Oh, damn, I'm in the wrong theater." So that was actually a relief because they were talking incessantly during the trailers, and I almost kind of thought they were going to do that through the whole entire movie. So personally, this movie does not start out great with a giant expedition dump from Jack Black. And to be honest, Jack Black is far from my favorite actor. He's one of those, I don't know, actors similar to Jim Carrey that when you hire him, you're not hiring him to play a character, you're just hiring Jack Black, and he does Jack Black the whole entire time. And unfortunately, he's not like Jim Carrey, who is sort of amusing to watch, except I didn't like him in Sonic 3. That's besides the point. I just wish Jack Black would stop talking whenever he was in the movie. There is one thing I am kind of surprised about, and that's when you go to select the Steve skin in Minecraft. It looks nothing like Jack Black, a lot darker in skin. I don't know if that was ever a thing. I'm kind of surprised I didn't hear about it if it was. So I guess they just gave it a pass because it was Minecraft, and I don't know if anyone thought this was going to go anywhere. Honestly, I just don't care. I was just kind of a bit surprised that wasn't a thing, though. Now, one thing I will say is some people I did watch in regards to the plot, they either were not paying attention or didn't understand something in regards to his wolf Dennis when he lost the collar on his way out taking the orb, which is in the shape of a cube, which was just a constant reoccurring joke throughout the whole entire movie. But it somehow knew to take this orb to his house in the real world, which didn't make any sense unless he's been constantly going back and forth to it. Then that would have made sense, but they didn't indicate that in any shape or form. But anyways, the point of the collar is that people didn't seem to get was that they were using it to trick him into thinking that they had his dog in order to get him to do something he really didn't want to do, which is get the orb and give it to the main bad guy pig lady thing who they just made out of nowhere. I've already forgotten like all their names outside of Steve and Jason Momoa's character, which I don't actually remember his name other than Garbage Man. The other thing that really bugs me is it's another isekai. I think that's how it's pronounced. Whatever it is where they get transferred to a magical world outside of their own. I really wish they would stop doing this with video games. It is exceptionally common in video game movies, and it needs to stop. So, after the whole entire expedition dump with Steve, they introduced Jason Momoa's character, who's holding on to his glory days as a video game champion for one particular game. I almost feel like it's maybe a slight jab at Billy Mitchell to some degree. But he is working out of a used video game store. Technically, it's his own business called the Game Over World Store. It kind of makes sense because used games are getting harder and harder to come by, and the ones that are left are kind of not that great. Long story short, the guy is in debt because his business isn't doing great. Then they introduce the brother sister pair that decided to move to some small town because their mom wanted them to, out in the middle of Idaho. Anyways, her brother is some kind of creative savant. They really don't show like the typical bullying you might see in previous movies with the nerdy kid. Yeah, they have one situation where they sabotage a rocket that the teacher just lets them make for reasons and destroys the town mascot, which is absolutely humongous, which I don't think could actually be that big, but I guess they did it for comedic effect. And it happens while the sister is talking with older people about their social media presence, trying to help them with their advertising and stuff like that. Uh, which I got a chuckle out of it when they said, I don't think you should call your product a salty sack. But to avoid trouble, the brother, I just looked it up, is Henry. Yeah. He calls Jason Momoa, who he met earlier on his way to school, just stepped into his store and left a really odd breakfast pizza dish there and bribes him with money to pretend he's his uncle so he won't get in trouble with his sister for blowing up the little giant statue. I said little giant. The giant statue on top of the potato chip factory where she works. And I guess I failed to mention the realtor, the black lady in the movie. She runs several side gigs, including one that involves a bunch of animals. She's actually probably my favorite character in the movie, mainly because she's the less annoying of all of them. I mean, the sister is close by, and that's probably because they're kind of sidelined for a good chunk of the movie. So anyways, after Henry gets in trouble and Jason Momoa's character, Garbage Man, comes and gets him to go back to his store, he finds the cube and this other crystal sort of cube thing. They say it's a crystal, it's clearly just really cheap plastic. Like, they didn't even try and hide that it was just plastic. You can see the seams and everything. And for a reason, he puts them together. And he's like, oh, it's taking me somewhere. And they go to the mine shaft that was earlier in the movie with Jack Black going in there. And that's where he found the cube and the crystal thing. The realtor lady, who for some odd reason the sister called for asking for help instead of, I don't know, maybe the police when she couldn't find her brother. Anyways, she does a thing on her phone and tracks him down, which I don't know how you feel about tracking apps, but yeah. They follow him to the mine shaft, and they just so happen to start being pulled through, and he just hangs on there. She even tells her brother to let go, and he hangs on, and everybody gets dragged through. But basically, from here on out, I mean, I guess it's been here on out, Jason Momoa's character is just an idiot and constantly gets them into trouble. Acts tough, but he's really, really dumb and kind of on the pathetic side. Now, the animation, I will actually say, is kind of neat. Just kind of. And if they went for like a movie that was nothing but that, you know, no real life actors, just that, having Steve in that world for whatever reason, that would have been fine. But they went with the live actors just to pose against this heavily CG'd smattering of a world. And you can tell, I mean, a lot of this movie is actually kind of lazily done. Like the lighting, you can tell a lot of it's done in front of a green screen or whatever screen they used, in which the lighting for different angles should be different, but it's the same. And on top of that, when they're wielding some of the tools and weapons in the game, they don't quite look right the way they're wielding them. They don't have any heft or length to them. They have something there in their hands to represent it, but it's not accurate to what they're actually using. So it's really awkward whenever they pick up something in the game, like one of their swords or the shovel or the hose or something like that. So long story short, the sort of, I guess, sleeve for the orb was destroyed, and they go and get another one from the manor that's in the game. And that's what this whole adventure starts out as. It's filled with references to mechanics and other things in the game. I'll give them that. And that's why those teenagers went all hyperactive at the chicken jockey meme. I mean, I played this game like 10 years ago, and I actually installed it just to grab some B footage for it, and I have no recollection about any of these memes, mainly because I was probably an adult at the time and just played it for the sake of playing it. I mean, it hits that spot of yes, it's highly repetitive, but it's just kind of soothing to dig for absolutely nothing but iron or some other resource. I don't know why I like it, but I do. So along the way, Garbage Man makes Steve stop by a treasure hoard of diamonds because he needs the money to make his business survive, and he comes out with Steve, and he gets angry, but they make up for it later. Typical obvious things that were going to happened, including the fake out death of Garbage Man. But leading up to that, they were in the manor in which they had all the guards on the bottom floor, putting them in an arena, which I don't know if that was made up or something they added to a different version of the game. I don't really know. While Henry went and got the crystal sleeve thing for the orb and fought an Enderman, but it was really awkward. It was actually probably the most notable moment in the movie where you could tell that they were just on a screen swinging away, and that there was nothing in front of him because all his swings were awkward and very wild. But anyways, the whole entire thing, like I said, was to get this orb so Steve can get his pet wolf back, which every time they have a wolf in this movie, they don't show them killing a skeleton and then grabbing its femur. It's just there. Like every time. They reference the mechanic, but they don't actually, show the part where they got the femur to actually tame the wolf. But the big baddie is this evil pig witch lady who doesn't like creativity because she got made fun of for dancing. And I guess she became the leader, and every time anybody expresses any form of creativity or fails, she kills them, and they turn into pieces of ham. Which reminds me, because they had this whole entire setup where Jack Black had a thing to cook chickens, and Jack Black started singing, and it's not the only time. They did it 3 different times in the movie where he sung. Maybe 4, I'm not really sure, at least 3. In the Mario Brothers movie, I thought they were just kind of humoring him and letting him do his thing. Now I'm pretty sure they more than likely did it on purpose. They're like, yeah, he can sing, let's do a musical bit, and now it's just his thing going forward in probably every video game movie he's going to be in. Speaking of which, I believe this is his 4th video game movie he's been in, and I wish they would stop with Jack Black. In general, I mean, I think the only role that I've liked him in is Bowser, and I'm pretty sure they altered his voice to get him to be where he's at. Anyways, it turns into this whole quest of going to the mansion out in the middle of the woods because reference. It also feels like a really weird way to squeeze it into the plot. I think it was just there more for the reference than anything. And they end up running from the pigs as they try and capture the orb from them, with some shenanigans ensuing with basically Jack Black riding Garbage Man's back, and it turns into this whole awkward situation where they're almost doing 69, not quite, but it's getting close to make it really awkward in an attempt to make it funny, and it's not. And the other two, the realtor lady and the sister, just fight off some pigs. They're like, oh, you're really good at that. She's like, yeah, I never knew I had it in me. That has like a really lame payoff way, way later in the movie. But they come across a wolf. And again, a magic themer just shows up out of nowhere. And the black lady gives it to the wolf, and it just so happens to be Dennis. Which doesn't make sense because he was already tamed and then he became untamed. And you don't see them until they're done with the mansion, which I guess was just done for jokes, where Trash Man has to take on the small zombie while riding a chicken, and that's where the chicken jockey meme comes into play, where the kids went nuts in a viral video. And I'm, like I said, thankfully I watched this by myself. And that's also where the scene of the kid, Henry, Hank, whatever it is, I don't even care anymore. He's in the treasure room just randomly searching through all the chests instead of just systematically going through them because he has no idea where they are. And he fights the Enderman where it was totally just random swinging. It was very awkward to watch. Along with the perfect chance of that Enderman dropping a pearl. Sorry, an Ender pearl. And when they come out of the manor, the pigs are waiting for them. They get the orb and they have this whole entire setup of the trash man sacrificing himself and an explosion happening, and they crash and they wake up in a mushroom house built by the realtor lady with their sister watching over them. And they do this whole entire thing where they do a prep montage for a battle to fight the pig army by building a whole bunch of iron golems, and a special one which I don't know if how recent of an addition that is, because when I played it wasn't a thing, and I don't know if it is a thing or not, so we'll just go with a super special golem to take on the giant pig thing that they have in the movie. And again, the real actors just to pose against all of this CGI is just way out of place, and like I said earlier, it should have just been animated. So the whole entire plot comes down to them using the orb to blot out the sky so that the pigs can come through without being zombified. And they're trying to stop that from happening so they don't destroy the overworld. So, of course, they're going to win. No one thought they weren't going to. It's probably one of the weakest parts of this whole entire thing. I mean, it's Minecraft. There wasn't really a story to begin with. And even when I played it, I don't know, it was like 6 years ago. Or is it 10 years ago? It's probably 10 years ago. I just went through and did all the achievements, like fight the Ender Dragon. And when this game first came out, I don't think that was even in the game. So this whole entire plot is just weak and dumb. And it's probably a good example of why you shouldn't just make a movie off of a popular IP because said popular IP is popular. The worst part about this is I'm pretty sure we're going to get a sequel, and it's probably going to just be the same dumb slop that we got with this movie. I stated this before, I kind of wish this movie didn't succeed because this is what movies are going to turn into, but specifically video game movies. I think the best way to describe it is the Guardian Galaxy-fication of video game movies. That's what it kind of feels like. Yes, it worked for Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I didn't care for the second. I didn't see the third one. But you get that weird, awkward humor when it shouldn't be there, which kind of worked for that movie, but it doesn't work in every situation. Along with the constant references. That's pretty much what's carrying this movie. It's just dumb plot references and humor that's in weird places where it shouldn't be. So I guess we'll just sum it up. This movie was just dumb. It was really, really dumb with a really dumb plot with really bad acting on Jack Black's part. Let me rephrase that. Bad delivery on Jack Black's part. The weird over-exaggeration of it. Like I said, he's like Jim Carrey in that regards. So, going back to the epilogue of the movie where they magically save Garbage Man's business by developing a 2D beat 'em up, which I don't think those have been really all that popular for a while. I think like maybe Streets of Rage 4 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge actually did pretty well, but I don't think it'd be that popular enough to save his store. Which is weird because they're like, yeah, it's an alpha, or maybe they said it was a beta. I'm like, well, if it's not out, how did you save this man's store? Did the sister get fired from the potato chip factory? Did she quit? I don't know. She did start a self-defense sort of school based on her experience of beating up pigs in the overworld. I mean, her experience doing that, and I guess a few zombies, is less than like 48 hours. Not to mention, she's in a small town out in Idaho. Chances of you needing that in a small town out in Idaho is slim to none. And trust me, I used to live out in that part of the world. So to kind of just sum up the whole entire thing, this movie was dumb. It had a dumb plot, a very contrived dumb plot, I might add, that was carried by the references, particularly to memes and mechanics. I don't think the star power really brought in people, particularly Jack Black or Jason Momoa. I will say the animation looked nice, but the live actors combined with the animation doesn't work. They had a subplot involving the principal of the school, which I don't know why it was in there. Maybe they thought it was funny. It was just absolutely the dumbest thing in the whole entire movie, and I wish it wasn't in the movie. I mean, the worst part about that whole entire thing is it served zero purpose at all to the plot. It was just there for a really bad joke. Kind of like they needed to fill some of that 90-minute airtime in order to just push it up to that amount of time, instead of coming up with better plot or dialogue. They did something dumb, like having a villager cross into the real world and some dumb principal fall in love with him. Honestly, I wish this movie didn't succeed, because I'm guessing this is what video game movies are going to turn into. Even movies that are supposed to be serious, which I'm gonna question the Legend of Zelda movie. Like, is there going to be a lot of studio interference of them trying to push a similar formula, even though it's the Legend of Zelda? Yes, there's humor in it at times, but not like this. But due to the success, because it's very similar to the Mario Brothers movie, just not as bad. At least the Mario Brothers isn't as bad as the Minecraft movie or the Borderlands movie, but they all follow the same similar pattern. And I think just video game movies are going to be doomed in the future at this rate. They'll quickly burn through them faster than they did superhero movies. Anyways, if you haven't seen this movie for whatever reason, don't save yourself the trouble. I mean, if you can see it for free or super duper dirt cheap, like, don't pay more than $5 online to stream it. Even then, that's kind of pushing it. But I digress. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Have a good one.